Hello everyone, myself Assistant Professor Vatsal Patel from Civil Engineering Department working at Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Technical Education and Research Center NAVSARI. Today we are going to discuss about etiquettes. So first we will see about telephonic etiquettes. So first of all, let us see what is etiquettes. So, etiquette is a code of behavior that delineates expectations for social behavior according to contemporary and conventional norms within society, class, or group. Etiquette is manner, codes, social conventions, and all those behaviors that make our interactions with other in every possible situation pleasant and consolidated or considered. Okay, so etiquette involves appropriate behavior in business, social, and even extraordinary situation, whether it is greeting a guest using the napkin while dining or offering a condolence to someone. There is a socially approved way of acting. So, if we talk about telephone etiquettes, in the contemporary world, most of our conversations and discussions with others take place over the phone. Telephone or cell phone is in fact the most commonly used tool of communication among professions staying in different parts of the world. Whether one works in a large or a small organization, professionals need to interact mostly through telephones. So, in telephone conversation, the way we listen, respond, speak, or hang up is often as important as what is communicated. So, let us see how it goes. So, first of all, identify yourself and then thank them for contacting you. Second one, try to remain positive. Then consider the tone and speed of your voice. Listen carefully. Respond, remain composed and well. Time your call and be precise and clear. So, if we learn about the whole process, let us start with making a call. So, before initiating a call, be clear about the way, means, purpose, and what means content of the call, how to begin the call, and what to do if the call is cut off. Second one, prepare before calling. For business calls, you must know exactly who you want to speak and choose the most convenient time to make the call. You should also know whether you are calling to follow up on earlier communication or if it is the first step in the interaction. To be brief and concise, jot down the points you want to discuss and think about the order in which to discuss them. Always keep these notes at hand when making the call. Keep a notepad and pen ready to write down any information what the recording or for the recording. Consider whether the call is important from your point of view or from the receiver's point of view. In the latter case, structure your information from the receiver's point of interest. Begin first with what is important for the receiver. Talk about your interests later. Keep the conversation as short as possible. The other person may not be able to spare much time for your call. During the office hours, call the landline numbers first directly or through the assistant, depending on your familiarity with the person. Cell phones should be used in case of urgent matters or when the relationship is of a personal nature. Calling a cell phone from a landline number should be avoided as it may give the impression to the receiver that you are taking data availability for granted. In addition, the receiver may not recognize the number if it is not in their cell phone directory. Avoid calling a cell phone number through an administrative assistant. It might give an impression of discourtesy. Avoid the use of cell phones in movie halls, crowded restaurants, hospital, fuel station, and so on. Cell phones should be switched off or kept in the silent mode during meetings and important discussions. People whose calls you have missed in such a situation should be called back later. So, how to begin or receive a call? So, the first few words spoken by the caller or receiver are important for establishing identities and the purpose of the call. They create the context for which the conversation is to be made. As a caller, you may not be personally known to the receiver. The receiver may be familiar with your purpose and your company, but may not exactly know you unless you have met in person, not spoken to each other earlier. Therefore, begin by introducing yourself, state your name, company, and purpose. In organizations, calls are generally routed through a receptionist. The usual practice at the reception is to attend to the call within 5 rings. If you have been kept waiting longer than the receptionist will usually greet you with an apology. If your call is not answered even after 10 rings, it is advisable to disconnect and try calling later or try another number if any. Greet receptionist good morning. Tell him or her your name and your organization name, and then mention whom you want to speak with. When speaking with a personal assistant, use the same introduction and tell him or her the purpose of the call. He or she will connect you to the desired person only after checking whether she is free to talk to you at that moment. Remember to be patient and pleasant while dealing with the assistant, who is the important link between the caller and the desired contact person. If the receiver does not know you, so you should introduce yourself, for instance, by saying something like, "Good morning, Mr. Chaturvedi. I am Kinjal Rathod, Marketing Manager of India Limited. I want to know the details of your company's order for machinery." So, as a caller, you should use opportunity to make the receiver feel that the information you want can be acquired only from him or her, and that it is required immediately. In other words, involve the receiver in a dialogue instead of question that can be answered just by saying yes or no. Suppose you say, "Can I have the details of?" The receiver can respond by saying, "No, not now," and may hang up, and hence use your conversation skills to establish a good relationship with the other person so that the calls end up on a positive note. In case of a cell phone conversation, it is always better to check if you are clearly audible. You may be able to hear the other side clearly, but it is possible that the other side is not able to hear you completely because of a poor signal. During official meeting, it is always better to keep the cell phones on silent mode. If you are if you are having an important call, or you may like to inform the chairperson about it prior to the meetings begins, and step outside after asking for an excuse for yourself. It is also necessary to keep all such calls short. So let us see tips for an effective telephonic conversation. Spoken courtesy on a telephone can reap rewards we may not expect. Never raise your voice on the phone. Try to speak clearly with the receiver a couple inches away from the mouth, not too far, not too close or on the lips. So the ringtone also expresses a person's style. However, it should be in a synchronization with the environment of the workplace. The volume of the phone ring should not be too loud. Similarly, the volume of the person should also not be very loud. Sometimes people discuss even confidential matters so loudly that the entire office can hear them. Okay. Next, take notes during the call and record the date and time. Keep all your notes in one place. When you call back and get answering machine, do not hang up. Leave a complete message with your name and telephone number. Receive a little formal training in telephonic communication. So, what to do if the call is disconnected? Sometimes the call may be suddenly disconnected or dropped. In such situations, courtesy demands that the person who originally have initiated the call should redial immediately and say sorry for the call have got disconnected. In case the receiver has to suspend the call to attend to some other more important call, it is the duty of the receiver to resume the call and give a satisfactory explanation to ensure that the caller does not feel embarrassed. And we can follow common telephonic courtesies like always use the interrogative form for making a request such as could I. The direct statement like I want to talk to is not a polite request. Instead, may I talk to is more polite, and even the statement I request you to connect me to so and so number or person is not quite appropriate when one does not know the other party well. Instead, say, may I request you to. Okay. So these are the tips we can use during the telephonic conversation. Next, if we talk about time management, the study of how human beings communicate through their use of time is known as chronemics. So, monochronic to do one thing at a time, like for example, watching TV, and polychronic, like to do several things at a time, for example, watching TV while eating food. So, telephone etiquettes also are measured by administrative assistants. Like in business, telephone calls are mostly received by the personal assistant. Sometimes the assistant has to disconnect quickly to find out whether his or her support supervisor is free to talk. So they may say, please hold on while I will check if the supervisor is present. But if the supervisor does not want to speak to the caller for some reason, the assistant will choose any one of the following polite excuses like, sorry, she is busy in a meeting, may I have your number and she will call you back. He is busy with the foreign delegates, may I ask him to call you back as soon as he is free. These sentiments or statements may not necessarily be true, however, they are intended to keep the caller satisfied even when the call is not successful. Personal assistant should never try to overhear the conversation between the caller and the receiver. After putting through a call to the supervisor, they should hang up. So we should, if we talk about time management, we should use telephonic precautions like as a caller you do not know whether the person receiving your call is alone. Therefore, confidential matters should never be discussed over the phone as that can be overheard or tapped in transmission. However, if you have to discuss something personal that you do not want others to know, you should check with the person you are calling in a polite manner. For example, you may say, can we talk about the tender for the Golden Highway project, or simply, are you free? Can we talk about the tender? This would save you from causing any embarrassment to the receiver or risk being overheard. Next, let us see etiquettes for foreign business trips. So, don't criticize or deride your organization under any circumstances and especially in a mixed company. Make only those commitments that are within your level of authority. Like communication over the phone requires the use of non-verbal skills such as pleasing tone, proper intonation, and clear articulation of words. You should be able to convey a large part of message through your way of speaking rather than the meaning of the words alone. Hence, pay attention to your paralanguages as well. So, in the multicultural global workplace, it is important to know the norms of behavior of etiquette or specific culture group as this help in avoiding making pass and facing embarrassing situation that can put off client or business partner. This not only reflects how the other person want to be treated at that moment but also exhibit our self-control on our own colleagues' feelings and emotions. This help in the long run and to form a strengthened business relationship. For many travelers, business trips are more about survival than perfection. Morning to night meetings, conferences, and dinners assess one's skill in international diplomacy to an extent. There are temporal and spatial negotiations to be made, demand skill of adaptation. So, you are also representing your country like India in your way of seeing. America can expressway. Do not badmouth Indian roads and traffic to your American counterparts. Do not hesitate to keep your religious and personal identity. If you food habit that requires social need, for example, vegetarianism, make sure you use the internet and other resources to find out appropriate place nearby. So learn about the culture you are traveling into. Like if you visit Australia for a business purpose, you just have to take care of being on time, giving a firm handshake and wearing either small casual or business suit, whereas in Asian countries, handling over a business card carefully with both the hands, the receiver noting the details on it and then placing it in their shirt pocket, not pant pockets. Okay, is a mark of respect and a traditional icebreaker in a meeting. In China, a vigorous, strong handshake can be seen as aggressive, while a light handshake with a slight nod of head is normal. So, learn a few colloquial phrases like although English is a lingua franca of the world. It can be annoying to the citizens of non-English speaking countries when travelers make no effort to use the local language. So it can be worth picking up a few phrases that convey gratitude. There are now mobile phones app that make this a lot easier. For example, some app like Talk Chinese Free, you won't be having much conversation in foreign language, but you can at least learn good morning, thank you, after you, and let's have drink, etc. etc. Here, you can also take the help of Google Translate app, which can help you to get your message across to a non-English speaker in a local language. Next, keep it professional. When you are traveling in a group or with work colleagues, you will naturally relax a bit more than you might in the office. But bear in your mind that when you go back to the work, the normal business relation should resume. So you should be practically aware of non-oversharing colleagues' personal detail with other colleagues on your host who might not have been already aware of them. Commenting on a colleague's family, personal appearance, previous holidays, and so on can cause uncomfortable moments on the trip or back home. So, in terms of how you deal with your host, what is professional difference country to country? For example, in Auckland, having a glass of wine and polite conversation with your host on their yacht may be ideal, while in many Asian countries, singing at the bar is entirely business appropriate. Okay. So before the trip, know your objective, like it can be technical mission or knowledge transfer by which you are going to get trained by your foreign counterparts, or rapport building network, or the final step in winning of offshoring deal. Okay. So if we talk about it, before the trip we should use these very important notes. Next, prepare well. Make sure you have assembled and organized all data required for your tip, both in the hard copy and in the soft copy as necessary. Build redundancy and save your important material into 2 or 3 places. Make contingency plan for such possibilities as lost luggage and have someone in your home base who can feed you computer files, data and other things in a pinch. Make sure you have written down the contact number of the essential people and place in your cell phone as well as in your old-fashioned diary. Make sure you have all travel documents in order. So, if we talk about this, learn how to greet and address the people at your destination. A little extra can go a long way. Take into the account the country's temporal presence, praise the country and cuisine, never criticize. Small talks may lead to the big result. Be extremely careful with social media. Don't forget the people back at home. So if we take some specific tips for it, make some inquiries about people you are meeting before you are actually see them, so you have a few areas of conversation you know you will be comfortable with it in advance. Read the newspaper in the hotel or to keep the current local events of your slave for impromptu discussion. Open the conversation with a small compliment, like everyone likes a compliment. It could be a compliment on their clothes, their recent career success, how well an event is going, or the food you have been enjoying. Make an effort to remember their name and use it in conversation. Again, this is an area where some prior work can be very helpful, especially when you are not efficient in remembering the names. So make sure you carry power adapters for the several different power outlets of the parts of the world you are visiting. It is good idea to have universal adapter. Finally, make sure you bring with you plenty of your latest business card and a diary of journal with a couple of good pens. During the trip, be aware of the local laws and practices, respect privacy, interface with your foreign team, pay attention to the networking, help conduct perfect presentation and meetings, be in a constant touch with your home base and your boss in India. A business trip is not a junket. So, if the person you are talking to convey an opinion that you strongly personally disagree with, it is a good discipline to learn to mask your disagreement, say something natural, and try to move on conversation on a different topic. In business, showing how much you disagree with someone will not help you to achieve your trip objective. Choose the conversation gracefully. Don't just melt away from a group without excusing yourself with a positive comment such as "It was nice meeting you." Research the topics in the countries you are visiting to avoid either committing a dreadful, embarrassing situation or appearing aloof by refusing to discuss something that's common topic of the conversation. In many countries, topic you probably shouldn't launch into of your own bed unless you understand the cultural sensitivity around them well. Include religion, money, and salary through they are frequently discussed topic in most countries. So after the trip, first send a continuous thank you mail to your counterparts, thanking them for their hospitality and for the productive time you had. Then sit down with your boss and brief him on the trip. Then write an appropriate trip report and circulate it among the relevant people. Next, follow through on the action items you promised and take them to completion. At last, don't forget to file that expenses report promptly with all your receipts before you start your next trip on your globe trotting. So now we will see business manners in different countries. So if we talk about it, it is important to respect foreign clients' religious beliefs and cultural needs. In business, foreign visitors should not be allowed to feel like strangers in other countries. We generally believe that when we visit another country, we should behave according to the business norms and etiquette of the country we are in. Accordingly, we can assume that foreign visitors would observe our business norms such as trade practices, working hours, and office culture. But there may be some social and religious belief that we should try to respect. It is the primary duty of the host to make the guest feel comfortable in every way. Respecting cultural needs, religious beliefs, and the attitudes of foreign visitor will go a long way in developing a good business relationship. So there are some tips for doing it so people can be easily put at ease by speaking to them in their native language. English is a global linked language today, yet many people prefer to conduct business in their own language. A foreign visitor may not know English, so use an interpreter if necessary for important business occasion. Prepare document in both languages, English and a foreign visitor's language. Try to learn and use some words of greeting in the visitor's language as a gesture of friendliness. Business. So now we will see business manner in different country. So to be successful in business transaction, one should know the chief differences in the business manner of people of different country. When we are in a foreign country or a host to a foreigner in our country, we should bear in the mind the business norm of that country. So the norms for the business meeting and personal style followed by people in some countries we are going to discuss here. So first of all we will talk about Americans. So shaking hands during introduction is common. Punctuality is an important form of courtesy. Americans prefer breakfast meeting to develop close business relations. They also have meetings over lunch. Americans prefer to refer to people by their first names. Now, if we talk about European countries, first of all, we will talk about British. British businessmen share most of their culture and business matter with other Europeans. They are formal in meetings and personal style. Next is French. French businessmen usually choose to speak in French with businessmen from other countries. They are very cordial and greet each other by shaking hands. Germans. German business meetings are highly formal and scheduled much in advance. Germans can explain themselves in English if required. People are addressed by their surnames. Senior businessmen are shown respect by sometimes being referred to as her, Mr. and similarly businesswomen are always addressed as Mias. Next, Italian and Spanish. Both Italians and Spanish like business occasions as a part of social life and may be less formal than other Europeans. Next is Dutch. Dutch businessmen speak English fluently. Most of them are polyglots, like speaking or writing several languages. They are relaxed in their business approach. Next, we will talk about Japanese. The Japanese always like to maintain a personal space, so physical contact is not desirable. It is polite to offer and accept a business card with both hands. Japanese business people should be addressed by using Mr. and Ms. never by first name. In Japan, saying no is considered impolite. They consider giving gifts to be an important part of business. Red cards in Japan are for funeral notices, so red greeting cards are not used for business. Next, we will talk about Arabs. Arab businessmen are known for their warm-hearted greetings. They stick to their traditional way of greeting, both as host and a visitor, by saying "Salam alaikum," peace be upon you. It is its meaning. So, discussions on religious and political matters are strictly avoided. Business meetings are conducted in a luxury styles. To an Arab business person, giving gift is a part of hospitality. Never give handkerchiefs as gift to an Arab, as they symbolize tears and parting. And last one is Indians. Indians have been known for their hospitality. In India, visitors are always treated utmost attention and respect. Business meetings are punctual, well planned, and formally conducted, and protocol of sincerity is observed. In matter of business discussion, junior always give precedence to their seniors. Business cards are exchanged while partying. Presentation of small gifts at the end of the meeting is considered to be a gesture of goodwill. So here I end my session. Thank you all of you.